who's been a sensation, Devon Achane, who's expected to miss multiple weeks with a knee injury, and he's a candidate for injured reserve. Horrible news. Sources telling Adam Schefter. How big a deal is this, Stephen?
Well, I think it's a big deal because Achane, I mean, this brother's been special, no doubt about it.
The league by storm.
He is. But it's a big deal because that gets rid of one of their weapons for a while, and I get that. Here's the thing, though. Mike McDaniel, I got to say this. He got a whole bunch of brothers looking great right
Yes, he does.
Also, you got speed everywhere.
Everywhere.
And so somehow, some way, it's like, I want to say it's pivotal and it's a big impact, but Shannon, Jeff, I'm anxious to see who he's going to have as a replacement, who he's got coming out of reserve. You know, to get on the field. Because there might be another brother running a 4-2, 4-3. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? We don't know with Mike McDaniels, with the speedsters he's got on this squad.
Yeah. Well, the first replacement will be Raheem Mostert, who has exceptional speed. But I saw him against Buffalo, and he didn't run with the same conviction. He didn't seem as excited as Devon Achane, because when he gets the ball, both guys are a threat to hit their head on the goalpost. But I hadn't seen a young man running back that has this kind of ability like this kid here in a very, very long time, Saturday. This kid is special.
Absolutely. He's a difference maker. It is going to be a lot. Jeff Wilson, I think they can bring him off of IR or whatever he is. He's at that 21-day thing. I think he can come off as a runner. Here's the thing for Mike. They have so many, and they can use so many multiple personnel groups and formations. They can put Hill in the backfield, and they can make him, like they can do a number of different things. The scary part is if this guy gets healthy, he takes 3 weeks off and he gets healthy, I mean, that's even scarier for defense as defenses wear out and he gets faster. Because to Shannon's point,
that's a good point.
I think this dude averages over 10 or 11 yards a carry. That is insane in the NFL. Like anybody, I don't care how few, that means you are fast, bro. That's different level and power.
I know injuries are a part of the game, but I feel like there's been a whole lot of late with these superstar players.
Things cannot be going so bad when you see the media, looking for silver linings when the Dolphins get an injury. That's very interesting. But from winning by scoring 70 and losing by 28 and some amazing runs and so dumbfounding interceptions, it's been quite a season. We're 1 quarter to the 20-game Dolphins season this year. So we're gonna got some thoughts about the roller coaster kind of season, up and down season that's been so far. But we're going to start with that. We're going to talk about Achane. I want to start with Matt. Matt, what are your thoughts about overall this season? Being some great moments, but then something happened. Still, 4-1. That's the silver lining. That's the great part of the story.
I think that the consistent, every time you talk about the team, the consistent message has always started with, if they stay healthy. It's the caveat for every team in every sport. And of course, this guy gets dinged up. Fingers crossed that it's not anything serious that's going to put him on the shelf for the season. But Sammy, you and I were talking in pre-production tonight about kind of a belief I have in where this team is today versus last season and versus teams 5, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and it's redundancy. And you can see it, especially on the offensive side of the ball, especially with the addition of Claypool to the roster. There's redundancy at just about every position, including at the quarterback position. So you've got wide receivers. We had Waddle out for a couple games, didn't miss a beat, right? Now with Achane out, you've got Jeff Wilson, who is able to come back. And in his time with the team last year, before he went out on injured reserve, that dude was a battering ram, okay? And he's got speed too, so get out of the way. But there's redundancy there, and I don't know what Shannon Sharp's talking about. Mostert looked like Mostert against the Bills. Maybe he and I watched 2 different games. Maybe he had better seats than I did, but I would not want to get in front of Mostert at all. And one of the most critical parts, which we're really not talking about, knock on wood, where we have redundancy is, and Sammy, you and I talked about, take the names out of it and just call it the position. This year at left tackle, the redundancy has been in play, right? We have not worried about, you know, oh my God, we don't have this player. The redundancy of the system has been in place that they can plug in somebody, and that has not been the case in years past. It wasn't the case last year. You can see that across the line, across the offensive line. Connor Williams was out. They put Eichenberg in, and it's very, very common. It's very popular to be down on Eichenberg because of his time at guard and his time with the team. I think he did a manageable job at the position last week. Um, and then, of course, number one, who we don't ever want to worry about him being out. But are you more confident today with the redundancy in place if one has to go out for a little bit? I am. They've built a team. They're building a team that allows them to cover up these kinds of things with Achane or with anybody else that might go out with an injury. I'm two thumbs up with it.
Eddie, how about you? What are your thoughts about the this season up and down, some parts, but still a very good season?
Oh, it's a very good season. It's not been too much of a roller coaster. Last week was a big down, of course, but we had our up with the Chargers after being down most of the game. But it's refreshing to have backups that can play football. He's done a great job. Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel they have done a great job in putting players that want to play in Miami on that team and want to win. And to me, you can genuinely see that they like each other. That team seems like a team to me. Can't always say that on a team. There's a lot of, I don't think anybody on that team, and that includes Hill, is a diva. He he's amazing to me that as good as he is, he's always trying to get everybody up with him to do everything right and to try harder. And that's where it starts with. Just a couple years ago, Philbin got rid of all the big personalities in the room because he was scared that they would overshadow him, I guess. And I mean, they lost some good people that were really good leaders, and it's good to see somebody like McDaniel can take a personality, no matter how big it is, and incorporate it into the team.
Absolutely, Steve. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's again, I was hard earlier on the team for the defense, but if we're talking about a roller coaster, and I absolutely love roller coasters, but I think the thrill of it is just sitting in the seat and when you first finally kick off and you move and it goes really quickly and then you kind of go up slowly, and that's the roller coaster ride we've been on. Now, actually, let me take that back. When we went against the Broncos, that was the downward, and we were like, "Oh my God, this is absolutely incredible." I don't really. Sure, the Buffalo game was tough, but I'm not. I was not surprised by the outcome.
Mhm.
They gave us
Right.
what I expected. We lost in parts of the game where I wasn't surprised that we lost the game.
Mhm.
So on offense, Matt hit some tremendous points there. The redundancies that we have at positions on this team where in the past, and knock on wood, we haven't had a really bad injury bug hitting us. But that brings to memory, pre-production we were talking about hockey, and I live here in the Tampa Bay area. And a couple years ago, when the Lightning went on to win the Stanley Cup, I remember that they had one of their top players sitting on injured reserve the entire year. And people were upset because I guess it's a way to kind of get around the NHL salary cap. I don't even understand NFL salary cap well enough to talk about that. But in any case, right at the playoff time, he became healthy again, or they activated him, and they had a healthy player who was one of the best in the league, ready and fresh for the entire playoff run, and they went through the Stanley Cups. And that's how I feel right now with anticipation of who we have kind of stashed away, waiting to get healthy with
Mhm.
our injured reserve. who we've got Armstead, we've got Ramsey. Achane is now is going to be taking that time off, and but while they're sitting there getting healthy as we progress through the season, assuming the big assumption that we can stay relatively healthy with who we have right now, we're going to be entering the later stages of this season in a position that in my memory, we've never entered. And that's with a lot of top players in the league coming out for their first snaps of the year or in months that other teams aren't going to have that benefit. So that's a great thing. And I'm not worried about the defense. I want to see them shore up. I want to see them get a better handle on it. I would really like to see, as we hit the trading deadline, I'd like to see them go out there and find an impactful run stopping inside linebacker. Somebody to carry that Landon Roberts role. My guy took a beating, but let me tell you, he was one of the hardest hitting players I've seen in the middle linebacker role for the Dolphins in a very long time. And I really think that we need somebody like that in there. If they can find it, great. If they can't, I think that Baker and Long will learn and adjust week over week in Fangio's defense. And roller coaster ride's coming. I think we're just getting started.
Yeah, we're going to get started. Also, you took a lot of great points over there, saying about how those players that had yet to come back, those additions, it's going to be huge. But also the players that have not hit their stride yet. You can say Waddle has not hit the stride yet. Bradley Chubb certainly has not hit the stride. Nor Christian Wilkins. There are a couple of players on this team that are not to par compared to where they used to be or should be. If those players go not even exceed what they should see it based on their salary, some of them, but if they play to the capabilities that was expected from themselves, probably this team is gonna be only going up. So Waddle, Chubb, Wilkins, the only two main three name three players. If those three go up in production, you're going to see a whole different team probably going forward. I want to talk very quickly about the Achane situation. You can see he was taking over that spot, so he was supposed to be the backup, but I think he had the first round of the game that makes him the starter. So he started last Sunday's game. He was playing so well. Hopefully, it's not something huge. But I wanna know before we go to the next topic about the situation about the inconsistencies on the running game from the fumbles. I want to talk that very quickly because that was a subject that it was supposed to be coming to the show before the Asian unfortunately two games. I want to know your thoughts about what's going to happen next up with Asians going down to injury. I'm going to start with Matthew. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think they continue on as business as usual. The fumbles they're a part of football. A little bit shocked. I don't remember Mostert dropping the ball much, if at all, last year. So having him do it against the Bills, and then Achane doing it against the Giants, it's not fun, right? But let's say he's out for 4 games. Let's say he goes on IR. He's out for 4 games. You bring in Wilson, but you guys alluded to something a minute ago, which I really hadn't considered, and I've been kind of stewing on it. It's the variables of moving players around. Would you be surprised at all if they lined up with Tyreek at running back?
No.
In fact, why haven't we seen that yet, right? Like that is something that today none of us would be surprised by seeing that, and the other team might be. But I have a feeling that this team, this leadership, is not a color within the lines kind of thought
Mm-hmm.
process. Uh, Ashan goes out fast as a hiccup. You need to pick up a few extra yards quick. Let's go ahead and throw Tyreek back there. Let's throw Waddle back there. I wouldn't do it every down, obviously, but I am not worried at all. The only worry I have is that Ashan's injury is as minor as it can possibly be.
Absolutely. Eddie, what are your thoughts about the AHA situation right now?
I think Matt just hit on Hill playing running back. I believe he played running back in college for a season or two. They used him once back there, Matt. I don't know if you saw that or not. He was in the backfield. They didn't hand him the ball, I don't think, but it worked because everybody ran to him and they did a reverse. I wish the NFL would do something about a slip down tackle. That's where you grab the guy and slip down to his legs because that's how he hurt his knee. They worry about the players' heads all the time. I understand. You ask most of the players, though, they said they'd rather get hit in the head than the knee because that's what they say. I know it's terrible for the long term getting hit in the head, but some of the if these guys do not learn how to tackle, they shouldn't be playing football because they go right after the knees. These safeties go at the knees. If you're not man enough to hit the guy in the chest or the stomach, don't be back there. It bothers me, but I think they'll be fine in the running game. I think the running game will be a little bit different without Achane. I think they might do a little more power stuff. Mostert's almost as fast as Achane, but I think it just might be a little bit different. Help me with the other guy's name. Number 35, I believe. Is it Brooks?
Chris Brooks.
Oh, Chris, we haven't even talked about him.
Did you
I was
see
getting
him
ready to. Damn it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Jesus.
I quit.
Nope, you're good.
I'm
Keep
out.
going. Nope.
He
Going
knocked
on
the
mute.
270. He knocked a 275-pound defensive end on his butt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if he can do that in blocking, he can run for short yardage. It'll just change a little bit, but they'll be fine. And like Matt said, just please only be like 4 games. The only thing I am a little worried about is I think you can only bring back so many players
5 times
from injured reserve.
Is it 5 times?
I think it's 7 or 8 players or something
7
like
or
that.
8, I believe.
Yeah, but we're
they're
already
gonna
at
get
like
close.
6, I think.
Right. You're going to have to bring back Ramsey. You're going to have to bring back Armstead. You're going to have to bring back Achane. So I think they'll probably just stash Achane. And if he's good, if he's fine, I think they'll just keep him on the roster and play one man down.
Steve, please go ahead, even if Eddie is still there.
I still got something he didn't talk about. No, it's all good. Actually, on X, just see it retweeted from Achane's Instagram post saying, "Only the strong survive. I'll be back better than ever." So clearly, cat's out of the bag. Coach McDaniel was pretty cryptic in his Monday it was Monday yesterday's presser about what's going on with Achane. Is he hurt? Is he not? Because I saw him come back in the game. I saw Eddie. We were messaging in our little group here during the game and saying he's hurt. I hadn't seen anything. Maybe I missed it in my celebration of one of the touchdowns or something. But then I saw him back in the game. I'm like, hey, everything's good. And then the one play that you just mentioned where Chris Brooks wasn't paying attention. I admit I don't look at blocking too often in the middle of the speed that's out there right now. But after the dust settled, he gets up and he was celebrating. And I'm like, hold on a second. Hopefully they do a replay because I want to see what Brooks is so happy about. And you see him go in motion and absolutely lay out a defensive end. And, well, first of all, it drove him back full pancake block. And one of those things that, I'm sure that in the film sessions this week, he was getting a pat on the back for what he did in that play. But it's a sign of what McDaniel institutes with this team of everybody has to block. You see Waddle blocking, you see Hill blocking, you see everybody blocking. And it really sucks about Achane. Jeff Saturday, hopefully now you'll pay attention to him and know he's not at 10 or so yards per carry. My man is at 12.1 yards per carry. What is he, 50 yards less than the leading, which is Christian McCaffrey? Yes. In 38 carries? Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Achane is an absolute beast. I can't wait for him to come back. I do believe that he will come back, whether he gets stashed on the IR or they just put him in a closet somewhere. They're going to have to at some point start balancing out the roster spots because with everybody that comes healthy, we're going to have to start losing a couple people. We bring Wilson on board. Somebody's going to have to go. We bring Ramsey on board. Somebody's going to have to go, Armstead, so on and so forth. It's something that we're not hearing, and I don't know why, because granted, he's been injured a little bit too much for my taste. Hasn't really been tapped into what I really wanted to see over the years, especially with as poor as our running game was. Salvon Ahmed is still out there. He's experienced in this offense. When he had an opportunity in the preseason, he took every possible advantage of that to the point that Myles Gaskin got the boot. I really expect that Ahmed is going to get a great opportunity to step up in there, and we're not changing the offense here.
Right.
It's the outside zone, it's the toss sweep type plays where they find those gaps that all of a sudden that we've never seen before. It's the parting of the Red Sea, where all of a sudden we have lanes for these running backs to go down in this offense, and every single one of them can hit those holes, and it's fantastic to see. It really sucks to see Achane because, frankly, I don't think there's anybody even close to offensive player of the year like Achane was going to see. And who knows? I mean, come back, he'll still have, let's see, week 5. Let's say he comes back around week 9, week 10. What's that? 7 more games for him to get over 1,000 yards.
I think
Seriously,
If I can
absolutely.
if I can add to that, Steve,
Yeah, man.
you mentioned Savon Ahmed coming back. He's not the same player, but I don't need him to be the same player. If Achane is coming in and picking up 20, he's picking up over 12 yards a carry, right? That's the statistics. The stats say that's who you are. I don't care if Ahmed comes in and gets 6 yards a carry. I don't care if he only gets 5, 6, 7 yards a carry on those very same plays. You just said it. The offense isn't going to change. If he's pulling in that, 2nd and 3 is a whole lot easier than 2nd and 9, right? We know that. That's basic. So I appreciate you bringing him up because he is kind of forgotten, but he doesn't have to be Achane. He just has to be Savon Ahmed.
absolutely.